Nigeria's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index fell slightly from 53.9 index points to 52.8 index points in July. Now, that's according to FBN Quest Merchant Bank. In its published PMI report for the month of July, the bank also noted that the manufacturing index will soon start reflecting the impact of forex shortage. Chinwe Grim is an economist at FBN Quest Merchant Bank. She joins me from Lagos to discuss this and more. Chinwe, a pleasure to have you join us for this conversation on Closing Bell West Africa. Let's start by speaking directly to the key findings of this report.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me. So the headline reading decreased, as you said, from 53.9 to 52.8 in July. And 3 of the 5 sub-indices recorded decreases. We attribute the decline to supply chain disruptions as well as seasonal effects. So that's the rainy season, so increase in rains. The surge in demand recorded in the previous month at the end of the selective lockdown lost momentum as expected. So consumers are slowly returning to their pre-virus behavioral patterns. And prior to COVID-19 and going back to Nigeria's last recession, consumer pockets have been squeezed. So we do not expect to see a significant rise in demand in coming months. Now, for the output sub-index, the reading declined from 58 in June to 54. The trend was seen across large companies. No change responses were dominant across all company sizes, accounting for about 58% of the total. The responses to our trigger questions for the decrease in output was poor access to raw materials, as well as high costs. We assume that the current supply chain disruptions, which I just mentioned, in addition to the CBN's absence from the I&E window for more than 4 months now, are partly to blame for the inaccessibility and pricing of raw materials. And then the employment sub-index, that increased marginally to 50.5 in July. And the proportion of no change responses accounted for just or about 97% of the total. The marginal increase in this reading is linked to the recruitment of temporary workers to meet demand for some manufacturers under our coverage.
Now, Chinwe, speaking specifically of the manufacturing sector, how would you say the operating environment is impacting the figures that we're seeing from that in your report?
Okay, so operational challenges are still very present. The power sector lost an estimated, I think, 1.9 billion naira daily in May due to constraints from insufficient gas supply and the weak distribution and transmission infrastructure. We expect to see the same trend when the figures for June are released. And as you are aware, the cost of self-generation weighs heavily on businesses. Now, affordable credit still crops up as a challenge, but we also note that steps are being made by the authorities to assist. At its last meeting, which was held in July, the Monetary Policy Committee noted that through the directive of its loan-to-deposit ratio, credit allocation increased by about 3.3 trillion naira over a 12-month period, with manufacturing and commerce emerging as major beneficiaries. So challenges are there, but a few steps are being made by authorities to try and curb these challenges.
So, Chinwe, if we try to run a month-on-month assessment of the FBN Quest's PMI reports so far this year, what would you summarily say that it speaks of the manufacturing sector in Nigeria?
Okay, thanks for that. So just as many other sectors, manufacturing has been hit by the pandemic. So before April, when the effect of the pandemic became visible in our headline PMI reading, the sector was struggling with soft demand as consumer pockets are yet to be rebuilt or are still recovering from the recession that took place in the middle of 2015. Now, demand will weaken more on the back of the current economic downturn triggered by the pandemic. There are also supply-side constraints that manufacturers are dealing with. So Q2 national accounts, when released, is likely to show a year-on-year contraction for Nigeria's manufacturing sector, given what we're seeing with our headline readings.